Let's talk about the rules because when I first saw the highlights, I was thinking like, holy shit, this is real. And correct me if I'm wrong. So basically, you take Muay Thai, you add headbutts, you add suplexes and some more sophisticated throws, right?
Mhm,
And then there's no gloves, just
mhm,
like similar to Muay Thai, but those wraps are even thinner, right?
mhm.
Is it my
Well,
understanding?
so if I might say, I really don't like when we compare it to Muay Thai because it's a very sensible subject. For people talk about if they know the geography a little bit.
Yeah.
Thailand is neighboring country of Myanmar, who's to be called Burma, and Myanmar was a very powerful country in Southeast Asia, and the Burmese Empire was dominating in war many countries. And there's a lot of speculation that Myanmar basically planted the seeds because they colonized, they invaded parts of Thailand. They looted the temples. They looted the capital of Siam, the Ayutthaya, it's called. I'm very interested in that history, and there's a lot of speculation that once after Myanmar came into Thailand, that's when the Thailand started having their art called Mulbaran, and Mulbaran was allowed with headbutts and was with ropes on the hand. So that's a very defunct. It doesn't happen. They don't fight it anymore. It's only they changed the rule to start to have Muay Thai. So people say that Muay Thai, which was inspired from Mubaran, and Mubaran was inspired from Lethwei. So
Mm.
technically, it's a very sour taste in Myanmar people's mouth because again, because of geopolitical problems, Myanmar was in the shadow of the world for a long time. It was sanctioned by USA, by leading countries, and they were really militarized. So I just want to make a point on that. That for like a long time, they were not able to. It was like USSR. It was like you could not leave the country. You could not import cars. It was very very hard. And while that was happening in Burma, in Myanmar, before democracy, Thailand was free for all. Let's import their sport to the world, and they didn't have any competition because Myanmar was secluded on itself, military and everything. So now, like we have gyms in Muay Thai in America and Europe and Russia everywhere. But I'm a strong believer that if Myanmar was not military dictatorship during that time, we would have Lethwei gyms around the world instead, and that's what I'm changing right now. So Lethwei is, again, it's the 2,000 years old. Headbutts allowed, KO to win. So traditional Lethwei is there's no scoring system, uh, so it's only a KO or a TKO or a draw. That's very intense. That changes the style, a lot of the mentality, because if you get Muay Thai guys coming into Lethwei, they try to score points with low kicks. They try to score point with other things. But in Myanmar, the Burmese don't give a shit about that. They want to go for the kill. So it's a completely different culture, different smells, different mentality, and yeah, like I said, in Muay Thai, they fight with gloves, and it's not the same getting punched with a glove, getting punched per knuckle, because without gloves you can get blood right away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and you mentioned that there are draws, and I've seen there are quite a few draws, but this is not that fights are close, right? It's just
exactly,
the person
exactly.
didn't give up. Is it fair to say?
Yeah, and that's the reason why I fought my last fight against Cyrus Washington, because um, even though you can dominate your opponent, I take a lot of pride in not getting too much damage, because I try to avoid. I cover well, and I take a lot of pride for that. When I dominate the guys, because if you look at my record right now, I think I'm 6-6, 6 KOs, 6 draws, but those draws are unidimensional. They're only on my side, and you can watch the fight on YouTube. Since the guy survived the 5 rounds, he literally survived because I was not in danger whatsoever. It was scored a draw. So for me, as much as I respect the mentality and the traditions of the draw, because the Burmese fans, my friend, they love a war. They just want to see blood. They want to see a fight. But fuck, if you see the fight, and you want to I've dominated the guy. He barely touched me, and he was cut everywhere. And then on Wikipedia, I checked the other day, it was a draw. I'm like, fuck. So
Explain
that's
to
why.
me that rule of 2 minute revival,
Mhm.
because I saw it and I thought it's kind of brutal. But
It is, and it's controversial. And if you look at the one second, I'm gonna plug this. If you look at the promotion I'm signed with, the WLC, which is the biggest Lethwei promotion
mhm.
right now in the world, they removed the injury timeout, which
Mm,
honestly I understand because the 2 minute rule is, let's say you knock me out, my
sure.
corner can call a timeout. They drag me to the my corner, and then they slap my face, they bite my ear, they put water on my, and then they revive me. I have 2 minutes, and then I can decide if I want to continue or it's over. And you can count honestly on a very few. I think it was once or twice that if the guy gets knocked out, he actually comes back and win the fight. So most of the time, it just delays the KO, and it's pretty detrimental for the brain. So
Of
the
course.
WLC wants to have like a professional and build fighters and build champions, and it's not very good for the brain and the brain trauma. So I think, because if you look at it in my fights in traditional Lethwei, it's not only one KO, it's two KO to win if you include the timeout, right? Because you knock him out, he uses his timeout, and then you have to knock him out again. Not very good for the brain.